3rd of September 1939, Britain and France declare war on Germany. Before the outbreak of the war, the government had put forward schemes for the evacuation of school children and others from those areas thought most likely to be bombed. Hi, this is Myran. She's 95 years old. She lived all the way through the war, and she's going to tell us about it. So.
Well, I was 12 years old when the war was started in 1939.
Yeah.
And 3 days before they started the war, I was evacuated to Blackpool with the school that I was at, Lily Lane School, Moston, Manchester. And we went on the train, didn't know where we were going, and when we got off, it was Blackpool, which they found it, and they took us to a lot of houses that had said they would take children in who were coming from Manchester and any dangerous place to live. And people came out to the gates and said, I'll take out that little girl or 2 boys or something. And you went into the house and you didn't know them. But I was very lucky. I got into a very nice house where they had another little girl who was only 3 years old, and I, of course, was 12.
Oh.
And I stayed there from the September, when war started, to November. And my mum and dad used to come and see me at weekends occasionally and bring the dog. And but then in November I came home for a weekend and I didn't want to go back. So I did go back until a fortnight before Christmas, and then I came home because by then we knew that the Germans weren't going to bomb Manchester, although they had bombed the south part of England and London. But we hadn't bombed Manchester, so we went home and I stayed at home. Then I would think it was probably 1942 when the Germans started coming over and several nights a week would bomb Manchester, Warrington or Liverpool, where all the trains and the buses and the boats came in to Liverpool. So they bombed us and we used to go into the air raid shelters. Those were metal and they went at the bottom of your garden and they were cold, wet, and it was very miserable at night down there. But yes, it was very hard. But fortunately Manchester wasn't bombed very badly at that stage. London and the south of England, where the Germans were just had got to France and were bombing from France. So they were a lot nearer. Big raid on Manchester. I can't remember what year it was, but you'll be able to find that out if you have a look. And it started at 5 o'clock on a Sunday night and went on till 7 o'clock the Monday morning, and we were in our air raid shelters and they were dropping bombs and everything, and it banged and you didn't know where they were, you know. I mean, you can't explain it to anybody that hasn't it, because you went into the air raid shelter and there you stayed till the siren went and said it was all clear, the Germans had gone back, and then you could come out.
Was it nice in there though? Was it
Well,
like
it was, well, it depended where you were and who you were with. If you liked the people that were in your air raid shelter, it was fine. And if they liked the same kind of music that you liked, it was fine. But if they didn't play your kind of music, it was terrible.
Yeah.
But eventually, you took a blanket with you and wrapped yourself up and went to sleep, sat up.
Oh. Wait, so it wasn't, we was with other people?
Oh
It
yes,
wasn't with
lots
your
of
family?
family, yeah, with your family. But also with perhaps 6 or 7 people that lived in the same road as you. It wouldn't.
Wow.
You didn't have your own. Well, some people had their own air raid shelter. If you had a garden and an Anderson shelter, it was called, which was metal and was oval and was you're buried in the ground.
We've learned about these, yeah.
Well, we had one of those in our garden. So if you were lucky enough to do that, you were all right. But if you didn't, you went in a big one that they put in the edge of parks or anywhere that they could hide you away.
Oh. Did it affect your life in any way?
Hmm?
Did it affect your life in any way?
Well, we've got all these memories that like now you don't think of it until something like this happens or somebody mentions something. It's not quite like, if you were talking to Harold, he would tell you about being in the forces, because from 18, when you were 18 as a boy or a girl, you what they call registered. And when you registered, they called you up and they said, if you were lucky, you got into the Air Force. Harold got into the Air Force because he wanted to fly. If he didn't, I would have gone in the Navy actually, but they didn't let me go in the Navy because I was feeding the nation. I was working with food.
Oh, it was food. You weren't making like bombs?
No. I worked for a firm that distributed food and all the ration cards and things like that. Because everybody had their own ration card and that. 2 ounces of butter for a week. Yes, you might well not like that.
What was the scariest moment of the war?
As far as I'm concerned, or as far as the country was concerned.
No, could it be a bomb?
If you're talking about when it was scary for England, was when Dunkirk, when France capitulated and said the Germans could go through France, and they left all our soldiers on the beaches at Dunkirk. That's another story, and you need to get somebody that knows about that.
Yeah.
But that was the scariest moment, because that was the time that England stood completely alone fighting for freedom. That's why you can go where you like now.
Did you think we would have won the war? What do you think?
Oh, now there's a leading question. Can I say that I want to be very cautious saying this, because looking at it now, I would say we should never have won the war. But because Mr. Churchill convinced us all we couldn't lose, we didn't.
Well, Myra, thank you for all of this. Thank you for telling me all these questions.
Well, it's been interesting because I've liked looking back but thinking very hard. I've had to do a lot of thinking back. Because when I was, how old are you now?
10.
10. Yeah, I was just a bit older than you were when it all started.
Wow.
God knows what is hiding in those weak and drunken hearts. Guess he kissed the girls and made them cry, those hard-faced queens of misadventure. God knows what is hiding in those weak and sunken eyes. Fiery throngs of muted angels, giving love but getting nothing back. Oh, people, help the people. And if you're homesick, Give me your hand and I'll hold it. People, help the people.